ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages. It's that time of day. Oh, shit, I still got to send one more text. All right, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages. It's time to get started. Let's have a word from our sponsors.
Is your bar looking a little ordinary? Is it lacking something awesome? Well, head out to your local liquor store and pick up something extraordinary. Grab a bottle of Old Humble Straight Whiskey or Old Humble Special Reserve. They're clean, smooth, easy drinking whiskeys that taste the way whiskey should taste. From humble beginnings to an extraordinary finish, Old Humble whiskeys are what your bar needs today. Walk tall, be awesome, and drink humble. Old Humble Straight Whiskey and Old Humble Special Reserve. Get yours today.
My big old face. There it is. Hey, you guys. Get my hat properly situated on my head so it doesn't look like I'm a complete doofus. Today is Wednesday, June 1st. It's the first day of the month. It's time to get this ball rolling and everything kicking off on the YouTubery. This is going to be a big month on the YouTubes, I believe, for the Old Humble Distilling Company. If I do my job correctly this month, we should have our first month where we have the monetizable hours. The number of hours the minimum number of hours that a channel needs in order to maintain monetization. We don't have the subscriber base yet, but we should get the hours we need, which is about 335. And I'll talk more about this next week when I post up our update for the 100K, the quest for 100,000 views this year. Cheers, Square Table. Oh, you can't hear me at all? What? You can't hear me at all? How can you not hear me? I see me. I hear. Hang on. I can, dude. It's on your side. I am coming through the YouTubes. Maybe I could actually turn my volume up a little bit more. But I am definitely coming through. I heard me on my phone over here. But hey, speaking of which, you are number 78 now. You now have the 78th slice on the wheel. I should have my list of names here so I see them come through. Don't go anywhere. I'm just getting a piece of paper. To make sure. Yeah, because the rules are still in effect. We're doing our drawing tonight. We're doing our drawing or the spin of the wheel of doom and glory tonight. And anybody who gets into live chat today, leading up to anybody who gets into this live chat leading up to tonight's show, you will be on the wheel of doom and glory. The wheel of doom and glory is a wheel that will be spun. It's a virtual wheel that will be virtually spun on our live show tonight, probably about 10:45, about 3/4 of the way through the show. About 3/4. Thank you, STD, for tipping me off of that. I appreciate it. Yeah, the level might have been a little bit low. I could hear it coming through the phone, but the level was a little bit lower than normal. It was in the greens and not the yellow, so I cranked it up just a skosh. I could probably even turn it up here, and that would even make it more voluminous. But now I'm redlining a little bit. So as long as I talk normal and don't project, I'm actually redlining now. Turn it down a little bit so I don't redline. Maybe turn it down on the here, turn it up there. There. I don't want to redline. We're good. We're in the yellow. We're good. Anyway, so we spin the wheel tonight, and tonight, when we spin the wheel, anybody on the wheel has a chance to win our gloriously designed blue box of sample flights. I have 3 bottles, 1 straight whiskey, 1 special reserve, and 1 double oak rye. All 3 are award-winning whiskeys. In fact, we won a new award this weekend, but I haven't announced it yet. We'll announce it next week uh, uh, we'll announce it next week at the beginning of the week, or maybe I'll announce it on my show tonight. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. But it's a prestigious one. I'm very excited about this one. And then yeah, so we spin it, and also in the box is a Alec Badoro. Shit, I don't remember the name of the. They're not sponsoring it. Fuck them. A very nice cigar. Not a great cigar, but a good cigar. A nice cigar. Alex Bandero. I don't know. They're not sponsoring it, so I'm not gonna stress it. And so that's tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Whiskey Rebellion, the first armed rebellion against the federal government of the United States. What brought it about, why it happened, how it ended, uh, and all that cool stuff. So that'll be tonight. Then tomorrow night's trivia. Friday night is Sedona Night playing live right over there in front of the green trees at the Old Humble Distilling Company. So as usual, we got a big fun week. But next week I'll talk about the analytics. I'll post up the video on the analytics. I'll make the video this weekend. I'll make it, edit it, post it up. Should be Monday. Watch the hell out of it. Share it with your friends. Tell people all about it. And then let's see here. 6191 Labor Day. We'll do another giveaway on Labor Day. And I'm reluctant to start collecting up names to go on the wheel. I didn't introduce myself. I'm the Old Humble guy. Cheers. I'm reluctant to start collecting up the names for the September Wheel of Doom and Glory until probably August. Collect them up all month of August, so that because otherwise we'll have thousands of entries on the wheel, and I don't think I can have that many entries on the wheel. Maybe what I should do. Here's a thought that just popped into my big old melon head. Maybe what I should do is have several spins of the wheel, so we collect up like 100 names and it goes on the wheel, and then we collect up 100 names and it goes on the second wheel, and we collect up another 100 names and it goes on the third wheel. So every time we reach 100, we have a wheel spin. So then we spin each wheel and we pull a name off the wheel, pull a name off the wheel, pull a name off the wheel, and then there'll be a second round, or so to speak, where we have, 5 names from the first wheel, 5 names from the second wheel, 5 names from the third wheel, and then the fourth time we spin it, we'll have 15 names. Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Maybe we'll do that. Nah, we won't do that. Not this time around. Maybe for the end of the year. Maybe we'll do that for the end of the year. We'll give away another flight at the end of the year. I'll make something to put the flight in. That'd be kind of cool. That was a fun project, fun process. But yeah, by the end of the year, we might have our first samples of our bourbon ready to go out the door. Ooh, that'd be a treat. That will be a treat. Okay, but today, enough jibber jabber. Today, we are going to. Here's what's going on inside the distillery. If you take a look on our. Can't fucking hear a word I'm saying. So what we're doing with this little rig right here is emptying out the last little bits of our special reserve, getting our special reserve into the blending barrel, proof down to 90, so that tomorrow I can bottle it up. It shouldn't be more than about 15 or 20 cases. So today's Wednesday. By the end of the day tomorrow, I should have them done. Or tomorrow's Thursday. I may put it off till next week because Friday we're doing the gin, so we can finish the special reserve on Monday or Tuesday, and I can have another live stream, another bottling day live stream. That'd be fun. So let's get this thing started. And by the way, you see there scrolling across the bottom. Hi, I'm the Old Humble guy. You see there scrolling across the bottom the little update. I have a lapel mic picked out. It's only about $40. It's not an expensive lapel mic, um, but it's a lapel mic that I don't have to have it. Like it'd be nice to have it so I could walk around the distillery and y'all wouldn't have to worry about the microphone being pointed at me or anything like that. $40 or $50 lapel mic. I have $5 in that fund. Thank you, Joe, for contributing to the fund. To get the name correct, let me get the name correct off of my Cash App. We did, in fact, receive a contribution to the lapel mic fund through Cash App activity. It was money received from Mr. Vorel. Thank you very much. I appreciate you contributing to the lapel mic fund. Thank you very much. And I just got a text, so I need to respond real fast to make sure he does it tonight. We have an application in for our some regulatory nonsense for our solar panels, and my lovely wife has to fill out a form. So that's what's going to happen. Where am I? I'm right here. Okay. So this is my ramp. We're going to load the barrel up onto the ramp right now. It is a manual process because it's not very heavy, especially when it's rolling. If I've got to unload the whole thing, if I need to unload the whole thing, I'll use my gantry crane. You should be able to see the gantry crane there in the background. I'll use the gantry crane and I'll lift that up and put it onto a tote, and we'll empty it. That's what I did with all the rye whiskey. There's also a 100% chance that you will see me become a sweaty, disgusting mess this afternoon. It is warm. It's not hot, but it's warm. Muscle Shell's in the house. Here's Muscle Shell. Tour number, I believe, 79 on the wheel of Doom and Glory tonight. The pallet literally just broke. All right. So we turn. And yes, those are folding chairs. So it is likely, it's possible, it's not likely, it's possible that the chairs will fold and collapse. It's more likely that the wood will, but they should be solid board. Yeah, good. Okay. Usually I have these reversed. I have 2x4s underneath, so I have a little bit more space to work. But that's fine. Still dump. Roll the barrel back. Now I need more space to work. So, but I wanted a longer ramp. I wanted a longer ramp to load this onto because that makes it a lighter load to lift with. Yeah, a lot of this is improvisation, doing what needs to be done. Not exactly the best way to do it, but it's functional. And I would much rather have a scaffolding of some sort to ensure that everything's done proper and well, not being off collapsing. But I don't have that right now, so I do what I need to do with what I can. and make it work. Plus, I don't have really room. I don't really have room in the shop for a permanent structure to be set up. I need to be able to put it up and take it down and move it around. So form follows function, and function follows form. So there we go. And I'm using the buckets. I could just as easily use a pump. But using a pump on this at this stage of the barrel, I'm not going to get everything out of the barrel, so I'm going to have to drain it at some point anyway. And when I use the buckets, since I don't have a flow meter yet, I use the buckets in order to measure what I've got coming out. And I should have solid. That's 6 right there. I should get a solid 8 or 10 gallons out, 8 to 12. And I'll take a proof reading from the barrels, or from the buckets rather. Overfilled this one just a little bit because I was trying to get a video. Ha, that happens. Oh, back up. So we're at about 13 gallons, give or take. Bring one more bucket over here. This fella. This bucket is full. Breaking board there. Need my all right, what I have here, I've got here is two hydrometers. One of them measures relatively low proof. This is the one I use for when I'm finishing the proof because it goes from 90 up to 100, and my proof I want to be at 90. And with the temperature variance, it's actually going to be about 98 or 99, and then we calibrate it down to 100 or down to 90. This one has a little bit wider scale. It goes from 80 up to 120, and the proof that I get out of this should be relatively high, around 108, but with the temperature, it should be around 120 or so. Yeah, so we're good. So I need to go ahead and fill up my measuring vessel. This here, so it's nice and level. Then I'll get my rag and wipe my hand off. Now what I've got is a chart which gives me the temperature calibration I need to do on my. I don't normally do the science stuff. This is different. I don't normally do the science crap on live. Usually it's mechanical stuff. I need my thermometer right there. It's not. Notebook is writing stuff down. So I keep track of the process and move them to my spreadsheet. So I take the temperature of the whiskey, about 81 and a half, so we'll call it 82. The reading of the hydrometer, which is right at 118. Right at 118. There's a 118 at 82 degrees. That gives me 109.3. 109.3. I come to my handy dandy notebook. Segment mark June 2022. I say I'm transferring. I don't know how many gallons it's going to be yet. Right now we're at 12 and a half. So I'll leave the gallons open at 118 proof at 82 degrees equals 109 point 109.3. 109.3 proof. Now what that's going to tell me, once I've finished transferring this, what that's going to tell me is how much water I need to add to bring my proof down. There's more science stuff. Move my brake. My hydrometer out. And I want to try and be as accurate as possible with the measurements. That's going to totally affect how we finish this process. How much water I add. If I'm off on how much I've transferred, then I'm off on how much water I've added. The calculation of uh, the volume of whiskey, the volume of alcohol rather, inside the water is off. If I think it's 13 gallons, but it's really 12 gallons, and 109 proof. That's 50% alcohol. That's the difference of a half a gallon of alcohol. Half a gallon of alcohol when you're adding in water, when you're talking about small quantity. When you're talking about 1,000 gallons of whiskey, a half a gallon of alcohol, one way or the other, that's not that big of a difference. When you're talking about small quantities, precision is extremely important. Because if you get it off by just a small factor, I mean, that can be the difference between a good batch and a ruined batch. That's the difference between having 5 gallons of whiskey and having 0 gallons of whiskey, because you can't use that. This is just about a gallon. This plus the extra here, that's 12, 13 gallons total. 13 gallons total. If you look inside this one, this is literally the bottom of the barrel. Look inside here. Check this out. This is what I'm filtering. Look at this. All the way down. Look at that. See the wood chunks that are in there? You see the wood chunks that are in there? If I tilt it a little bit, you can see them down there at the bottom. The whiskey's really dark because of that char, but that's what comes out of the bottom of the barrel. That is stuff that absolutely needs to be filtered out in the final production. So all of this goes into our blending barrel. Blending barrel for what we do in the blending barrel is bring it down. So I'll do the math on that. Figure out how much I need to transfer, how much water I need to balance it out. All right, I'm just going to roll this off. No, I will not try to destroy my barrel. Pretty sure it's take it though. But just cause it can take a pounding doesn't mean we should give it a pounding. That's what she proclaimed. All right. And there we go. And that, my friends, is a completed barrel. Another completed barrel. So that will now go over here into my batch of barrels that are set up for decoration and second life. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet as far as their second life. The easiest thing to do with them, I suppose, would be to screw in the hoops, cut them in half, and either set them up as planters around here or sell them as planters for gardening. That may be my first project that I do with them. Set up some Old Humble planters. I may even use them in the distillery for a little ambiance. A couple of hardy hot weather plants that I can set up outside. Instagrammable pictures. Um, we'll see. I'm not sure yet. Got a whole lot of time to decide on that stuff. But I am going to start busting up the palette. I got the plan for some of these pallets. And at least two of them are going to go into building a bar, and possibly a third one will go into building, or third and fourth one will go into building a control center for uh, for our live stream. We'll definitely have very moment of time more pallets than uses for pallets. Some of these pallets are garbage, absolute garbage. But it's wood and it's free. I've already paid for it. So I don't have to go out and buy fresh lumber. There's no good reason not to use a pallet, right? The other fact is, but I can always bust the pallets up and use them. I can use the cheap as hell wood for something. All right, so this live stream is not going to be particularly long, but that'll give you a chance to get in on tonight's drawing, and it's your last chance to get in on tonight's drawing. Because after tonight, well, after today, after I'm going to sit down and we're going to do some math. We're going to go over to the other computer real quick. I'm going to sit down and do some math. Math with an A, not meth. Math. Degenerates. Put it over here. I can fix it, I think. We'll just go ahead and point it back out that way. That's why I lost the video. Cable came loose. Right here. All right, did that fix it? No, it didn't. That's fine though. And it looks like jeez. All right. Well, that's all right. Math content's easy for me because I have a thinking brain. La la la. Okay, so we turn this off. Turn this back on. See if we get this connected up proper. All right, microphone's here. There we go. All right, my scenes were messed up on account of doing this with a glove. But now my hands are clean. See if I can get the camera working again. Turn on the Canon. Of course not. Why on earth would it work? Working would just be so damn convenient. Wouldn't want that to happen now, would we? No, absolutely not. Let's see here. There's that camera. Let's see if we can get back to the live Canon feed. Of course not. I'm going to remove it, and then we'll add it back in. Video capture, Canon. Okay. Well, it thinks it knows it's there, but it's not. This is a never-ending source of frustration with this guy. There's a loose connection somewhere inside the camera, it seems. We get it working. Canon. Deactivate. HP. Activate. Hey, how's it going? Anything? Anything coming up? No. There it is. See if I can get it working. Trying to get it working. Ting Ting's in the house. Cheers, Ting Ting. I think you are number 80 on the wheel. I think you are number 80 on the wheel. So congratulations. Get add muscle shell and Ting Ting to the wheel. H-E-L-L and Ting Ting to the wheel. Da, 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 da. One last thing I'm going to try and do. I'm going to remove the camera, plugs and stuff, and then add them back in. See if that works. Otherwise, we'll just go with our regular camera and not worry about it. What? That is definitely not correct. 6 feet tall and super strong. Did that work? All right, so we're going to get rid of that one. I have a picture-in-picture. We're going to get rid of that instance. This is live TV stuff. And it looks like all of my cameras have shit the bed. Oh, the good one's back. HD camera needs to be back. There we go. My HD, that's my HP HD. Nice. All right. And there's the nice one there. Where's my live concert cam? Here we go. Capture device. The Canon. That's the one. All right, so that's the interior of the distillery. I'm gonna make it fit. Hit the make it fit button. And now I'm losing the screen. There it is. Alright, so that's the interior. Over there, my blending barrels and all this stuff. But we're going to come over here to my host cam. That's me. And of course, that one's fucked up. All right, there we go. We're better now. All right, so what we need to do now is math content. Shop and I'm back. Yes, thanks, Ting Ting. So right behind me, I have this barrel. I need to move this barrel and get it where it belongs. For now. So when they're empty, these barrels are not particularly heavy. They're bulky. I mean, that's a 4.5 feet tall barrel, so it's kind of bulky, but it's not particularly heavy. Let's see, make sure I got everybody. Ting Ting, you're on the wheel again. STD and Muscle Shot. Everybody's on the wheel again. Good. So I've got 13 gallons that I transferred at 109 proof. So if I do the math on 13 gallons at 109 proof, 13 times 109 is 1,417. And I divide that by 200. That gives me 7 gallons, right at 7.085 gallons of actual alcohol. That's 7.085 gallons alcohol at 45%. So divided by 0.45 at 90 proof, that is 15.75. 15.75 gallons of whiskey, which means I need about 2 3/4 gallons of water to be added to the batch. To get it down to 90 proof. I'll probably end up adding a little bit more than that. I'll probably end up adding a total of about 3 gallons. And then over the course of the remaining process, I'll lose a little bit of that in the distillation process or the filtration process. But that's kind of the next. That's kind of the next things I need to do right now. And it doesn't take very long to filter 15 gallons. I mean, I can run that filter will knock it out in about 20 minutes probably. So I can actually filter that 15 gallons now. 15 gallons of whiskey times 5, about 78, 80 bottles of whiskey. Tomorrow's Thursday. Divided by 12. That's 7 cases. I could probably wrap this up tomorrow. I don't think I'll be able to wrap it up today because it's already noon. I'll filter it. It'll take a couple hours to filter it. It'll take about an hour to filter it, rather. And then it's possible I could get it wrapped up today. But I got to get back to the house. I got to be back at the house by 6 or 7 o'clock, do dinner, and then get ready for the show. Did it freeze again? No, it didn't freeze again. So I'm gonna go ahead and proof it and then bottle it. So let's switch over to the other camera. Inside the shop cam. There we go. You can see how bright it is outside. It's a gorgeous afternoon here at the old oil patch. It's an absolutely gorgeous afternoon. So off we go now to the. So over there, you can see on the far end of the shop is my water tank. Way back here in the back. So I only need about 3 gallons. Where did chat? Why didn't chat update? Huh. Alright, so I need 3 gallons. But what I'll do is I'll do 2 gallons and then I'll do 1 gallon. 2 separate buckets. That way I can control the a little bit better on the second part of the. All right, we've got 2 gallons here. I'm not going to put the whole gallon in here. I'm going to hold a little bit back. Now, put it all in there. The reason I put it all in there is because I'm going to need to put in more water after that. I know this because I've done this before. And if I absolutely have to, I won't. Never mind. My thermometer. Now I get the one that is dialed in for our proof. This is the higher, more accurate of the two. Has a much tighter range. Temperature now is 86. Got 84 in the glass vessel. 83. 83 degrees in the glass vessel. Let me get my phone, which has my science facts on it. What the hell do I do with my phone? Here it is. So this is me doing science. 83 degrees. We are right at 100 proof. Once again, double check the temperature. 84, 83.8, 83.2. Right at 82.5. That puts me between 90.3 and 90.7 proof. That gives me the proof reading that I'm looking for. Right on target, just slightly higher than 90, but I allow for 13.3, that's 16 gallons at 1. Right at 100 proof, right? Yeah, right at 100, maybe just a little slightly below, so like 99.8, 100 proof at 83 degrees equals 90.3 proof. That, my kids, my friends, that's how it's done. So now I run it through the filter. Just like that. Now, actually the first batches of whiskey that I did, I did not calibrate my hydrometer, which is a big no-no. I just took a reading off the hydrometer. I'm like, look, 90 proof, we're all done. And I ended up having very underproof liquor for the first batch of whiskey that I did. And I got chirped at by the TTV. They were like, you can't do this, this is against the rules. Then I was like, oops, sorry. That's how it goes sometimes. You get chirped at. Get back to the show so I can follow track. I don't know why TT, you're, I'm not seeing one of them. It also says it started 17 years ago. It started 17 years ago. Okay, teaching, those are columns, yes. So what I have for my stills, they are pots. They're a hybrid of a reflux column on a pot. So it's not like it's a continuous column, but it's the same idea as a continuous column, because instead of it just being a packed still, there's reflux plates on my stills. Each one of those little circles there, each one of these circles here is a plate on my still column. Yeah, you can kind of see it. It's a plate on my column, and that lets it reflux. When I'm actually running the stills, you can see it. You can see the whiskey bubbling up in the plates, or the gin, or the vodka, whatever it is that we're making. You can see it bubbling up on the plates, and that's the alcohol reflux going down and purifying itself inside the column. But because we work off of a pot, it's a batch stilling process. It's not a continuous process. So that's the difference between, we kind of have a hybrid where we have a column on a pot. So it's a pot still, but the column works the same way. Nick Necker's in the house. Let me add you to the list real quick, Nick. I believe you are number 81. Nick's doing the work to get on. I think Nick's on the wheel like. But again, we'll be spinning that wheel tonight at about 10:45 Central. Set this down to low so it's not quite so loud. We'll be spinning the wheel at about 10:45 Central Time tonight. We're going to kick off the show, do a little introduction, then we're going to talk about the Whiskey Rebellion, which actually fits in nicely with what we talked about the last couple of weeks. Natural rights, human rights, God-given and unalienable rights. Last week talked about the Second Amendment, well-regulated militia, all that jazz. A lot of people get the idea of the Whiskey Rebellion asked that the people used their Second Amendment rights to rise up against the federal government to defend, to rebel against what they consider to be oppressive whiskey taxes. It's actually the reverse, where George Washington called up a militia of the states to go and put down a rebellion. It's the reverse, like the well-regulated militia was actually used by the federal government. We'll get into all those details tonight because it's a fascinating rebellion and moment in our history. And it's usually something that just gets glossed over. I mean, hell, even last week and the week before, I just kind of hand waved past. Yeah, there was the Whiskey Rebellion and blah 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 blah. And when I talk about the original spirit, the original whiskey made in the United States, I talk about rye whiskey. And rye whiskey was the type of whiskey being made when they had the Whiskey Rebellion back in 1791. Just kind of, hand wave past it, just gloss it over like this was the thing that happened. But it was the thing that happened. It was like a significant foundational point on the path of our nation's history that really defined the power of the commander-in-chief and the general of the armed forces. But again, we'll talk about that tonight. Well, 15-minute or so presentation. On the Whiskey Rebellion, a fun and interesting point. Ah, crud. I forgot to bring home our juices from last week. I hope they're still good. Let me taste them. See if I still have cranberry and apple juice, or if it went sour. Nope. Still tastes like cranberry. Ooh, and it gets you right back there. That's good stuff. Another thing that we have, if you're looking to scroll across the bottom of the screen, assuming that it's still there and I didn't adjust it, is it still there? We have received $5 into the lapel mic fund. We have received $5 into the lapel mic fund. So if you are very annoyed that I have to continue to move, I'm okay with it for now. It's not a high priority of stuff that we need to do here. I've got to build a bar and a control center, and so we still have apple juice and cranberry juice. That's good. I've got to build a bar, and I've got to build a control center. I've got to install my steam generator, and I've got to get started on the bourbon and all kinds of other shit. So it's not a huge priority for me. But if the audio sucks that bad, it pisses you off, I have like a $50 lapel mic that I've seen on Amazon that I can replace my microphones with, so you can have the microphone right here. And, shout out to Joe Burrell, who was the first person to contribute to the lapel mic fund. We get close enough to that $50, I'll finally pull the trigger. I'll throw in $10 of my own. Get that lapel mic and improve everything here and make you folks nice and happy. The last thing I want is y'all being unhappy, right? All right. How that? Let's get it going, yeah. So this is my filtration machine, also known as just a filter. Let me get this out of the way. It feels like I'm yelling over the fan. Truth be told, I kind of am yelling over the fan. Had a guy in here this morning talking to me about the, let's get y'all closer too. Had a guy in here this morning talking to me about my steam generator. So that project should be moving nicely forward finally, after the last guy just kind of flaked on me. Quit returning phone calls and texts. I mean, I get it, he's busy, he has stuff to do, but Jesus Christ, dude. I answer a phone every once in a while. Ting Ting, if you have any proof that Biden is trying to do a Second Amendment prohibition, feel free to offer it. I'll even have you come on the show and show it off. It's not happening. That is a fiction. I don't know who told you that, but they're not telling you the truth. And generally, I mean, you can't be faulted for repeating something that's untrue. But once you know it's untrue and you continue to repeat it, you're participating in the lie. So it's not true. Whoever told you that is lying, because that it's not happening. There's no Second Amendment prohibition, anything going on. Nobody's trying to do it. But I can tell you this much. if if the response to have background checks or red flag laws or shutting down irresponsible dealerships or anything like that, all of the rational, sensible gun control measures is put the Second Amendment, which doesn't apply to almost any of that stuff. If the response to any curbs on bad guys with guns is the Second Amendment, then you can mark my words. Within our lifetime, it will be fundamentally altered. Because if the thing standing in the way of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness continues to be the second, people who wield the Second Amendment like a cudgel to stop us from having sensible, reasonable, rational, logical gun controls, or controls on people who shouldn't own guns. Because let's face it, you know somebody who shouldn't have a gun who has a gun. Everybody knows someone who has a gun that should not have a gun. And I'm not talking like, I'm not talking about responsible gun owners. We all know responsible gun owners. No, you and me are both responsible gun owners, I presume. At least I know I'm a responsible gun owner. We're sensible, normal people who can pass background checks, real background checks. Not the half-ass chicken shit background checks that they have now, but like real ones. When like federal marshals come to your house, that sort of thing. The kind of background checks that would qualify you to be in an actual militia, if one did. If the thing preventing reasonable, rational background checks continues to be the Second Amendment within my lifetime, it'll be altered. Fundamentally altered. Fundamentally altered in such a way to specifically state that individuals do not have an unchecked right to own and possess. In fact, the Second Amendment, guns, is the only thing that has that protection. We don't have a right to have our own children. We don't have a right, an unequivocal right, an unalienable right to raise our children. Our children can be taken away from us, but our guns cannot. Our guns literally have more rights than our children. All right. So now we have the filter is pulling the liquor up through the siphon. In fact, I can give the siphon a little bit of a helping hand here. It looks. There we go. The liquor is flowing. Well, see, that's the thing, Team. We don't have enough. We clearly don't have enough law. We don't even have a full-time director of the Bureau of ATF to enforce those laws. That'd be a good start at the federal level. Having a full-time director of the Bureau of ATF and fully funding the Bureau of the ATF. And arguably, we don't truly have enough laws because laws get repealed and unenforced constantly. In fact, Texas in September of last year passed a law that made it illegal for local authorities to enforce any new federal law related to guns, which has absolutely no chance of providing any kind of scrutiny. Zero chance whatsoever of surviving constitutional scrutiny. But laws that got repealed in the last 6 years include laws that prohibited clinically insane people from owning guns, laws that prohibited blind people from owning guns. Laws are constantly being, or have been constantly repealed over the past 6 years. Having the laws is fine. Enforcing the laws is another thing entirely. And maybe we do have enough laws, but maybe they also need to be enforced. And maybe they need to be different. Maybe they need to be reconsidered. And truthfully, like, to be completely fair, the problem isn't necessarily mass rampage shooters. The problem is the guy, usually the guy, who has a bad day, like a really bad day, like an epically bad day, and in response to his epically bad day, kills his wife, his kids, and himself. Or the teenager who has an epically bad day and kills himself. The parents are liable for that kid murdering or killing himself, committing suicide, because they didn't have the gun properly secured, they didn't have the gun with their trigger lock, they didn't have the gun unloaded and stored safely. They're the ones liable, and there's laws on the books in most states that hold the parents liable, but there's not a sheriff on the planet that will arrest the parents after their kid just committed suicide, even though they're liable for that child's death. Yes, Nick, we do tours of the shop. We do tours of the shop every Friday. We're open Fridays from 6 to 10. We do our live music 6 to 10. The show's free, by the way. Come on in. The show is free. For $10, you get a flight of whiskey. For $5, you get cocktails. For $7, it's cocktails. I can't even remember the prices anymore. $7 cocktails, $10 flight of whiskey. The show's free. The tour's free. Just come on in. You can buy bottles of whiskey. You just have a grand damn time. Every Friday. Every single Friday through the end of June, we're doing it. Beginning in July, that's kind of an open question, because it's going to start getting really hot come July 1st. It's going to start getting really hot come June 20th, give or take. The second half of June starts to get really uncomfortable, especially at night, and it just doesn't cool off enough. But you know, if it stays comfortable through June, we may do these in July as well. We may keep going through July, and then we'll play August by year. We'll just keep going and see how it works. But yeah, you have until the end of June for now. Every Friday from 6 to 10, our doors are open. So get your ass on in here. Come check it out. You hear stuff behind me over here. Nothing's going on. But yeah, I'm an advocate of. I like guns. I'm not opposed to them by any stretch of the imagination. But I mean, come on. You and I both know people who shouldn't have them. I mean, at a baseline level, most people can agree toddlers shouldn't have weapons. Most people would agree that, like, 13-year-olds shouldn't have weapons. And most people would agree that adults who think on the level of teenagers shouldn't have weapons. Like, if you're a mentally feeble adult, if you have dementia, or if you can't drive a car for medical reasons or health reasons, which are the same thing, or mental stability reasons. I mean, hell, if you're a chronic DUI, if you're somebody who has chronic DUI, you probably shouldn't have a gun. If you can't drive a car, you probably shouldn't be allowed to have a gun. If you have dementia, if you're blind, if you're mentally deranged or mentally unwell or mentally handicapped. That's the word I'm looking for. I was trying to think of the proper politically correct term for retarded. Like brain damage. That's the word I'm looking for specifically. If you shouldn't have a gun. Most normal people can agree on that. Like, there's plenty of people that you should simply say, look, I wouldn't want you standing next to me to defend my house. I wouldn't want you next to me shooting doves. Like, go to the other side of the field. You're a danger to yourself and others. Shoot, get out. I don't want my dog near you. Because holy shit, we all know that guy. We all know that guy. And maybe the baseline for gun control should be saying, you know, William shouldn't have a rifle. Because you know William, I know William, we all know that dude. Gary, that motherfucker, he is off his rocker. A 3-year-old, a toddler, my great-grandfather, we know these people. We went to high school with these people. We went to college with these people. We've worked with these people. I worked with several people that I would not trust with a gun if I didn't keep my eyes on them 100% of the time. We all know those people. And on the baseline level, say, look, those people shouldn't have guns. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be armed. That shouldn't mean they shouldn't have no right to bear arms, because they can get swords, they can get knives, they can get BB guns, they can do whatever the hell they want. Just not be a member of a well-regulated militia. We don't want them. We don't want them. And if a nuclear bomb goes off, and we got to call up the locals to defend this, the civilian protection plan, we got to call them up. You know, there's some people that you just want managing paperwork. And those people probably shouldn't have weapons. And I know there's a long history in this country of exclusionary laws based on specific criteria. Like, women shouldn't be allowed to have guns, and blacks and browns and yellers, and, you know, all the racist classifications you can come up with. Those folks shouldn't have guns. But that also reveals a whole lot more about the history of the Second Amendment, how it's used in this country, rather than the history of racism necessarily. But when you look at the history of the Second Amendment, the history of racism, those two things kind of go hand in hand more often than they don't. And that's another reality in the history of this country that a lot of people just don't want to recognize. But it's the reality in this country and always has been. That most of the time, when civilians are called up into a militia, it's not because they're shooting up at the aristocracy. It's because they're shooting down at a class that's trying to rise up. And if a class that's trying to rise up does dare to get weapons and assert their voice for equal rights and fair treatment, then a militia of townspeople or vigilantes are called up with that. That's the history. That is the sad history of the United States. And they have postcards to prove it. That's sad and unfortunate history, but it is what it is. We ignore that at our peril. And that's a legitimate counter-argument to the notion of reasonable, rational gun control. There are people who have legitimate reasons for self-protection against mobs of well-intended citizen soldiers. That's a deeper subject to have. And a lot of those well-intended citizen soldiers shouldn't have had guns to begin with, even if they were handed out by the city sheriff. Alright, we're just about done here. We're getting very close to 2/3 to 3/4 finished. And then I'll run the filter one more time. That'll be 2. And at some point over the next couple of weeks, I've got to finish up with my Humble Whiskey Club toppers to go on the next batches of bottles that are in stores. They should be hitting stores in the next 10 days or so. Where's my water cup? There it is. I need to go get some water. That cranberry dries you out. Sugar is hydroscopic. Hydroscopic, that's not a word. Hydrophilic. Sugar loves water. Well, it gives you a boost of energy. It also leaves you a little bit more dehydrated than when you started. So, sugary drinks are great, but you also need to accompany them with a lot of water. Cranberry juice is so much more flavorful than apple juice. Why do we even drink apple juice? What the hell? Alright, I can see the bottom of the barrel now. That's how much is in there right now. What I'm doing with the pads is, before I put them in the filter, I soak them in the whiskey so that they're already wet, and then they can draw a suction. They can form a vacuum and draw a suction. If they're dry when they go in, they'll pull air from the outside until the liquid gets into the pads and soak them. If I put them in here and soak them first, it takes about 45 seconds or so. But I usually do it for 2 or 3 minutes. I'll put them in here and soak them, and then as soon as this is done, they'll be ready to go into the filter and crank through. And see the bottom of the hose. The top of the hose, we should be done in just a second. Alright, now this is the very end of the run. I'm starting to get a lot of particulate matter coming up through the filter. I'm seeing chunks of wood. They're going into the filter, into the pump. That's clogging up the line significantly. Slowing things down. So what I'm probably going to do, probably going to go ahead and shut this down I'm not giving up a whole lot here. Probably a bottle worth of whiskey. I've got a whole plug of charred wood up here in the line. I'm going to have to drain that out. Of wood and debris and stuff. I'll take my handy dandy wood screw here, clean this out a little bit more. Pull this out. Try and get the rest of this wood out of the area. Now we will be ready for the next run. Okay. Okay. That's clear. All right. Come along and ride on a fantastic voyage. All right, so what this is doing is just clear out the line, making sure I got nothing left in there. Making sure it flows smooth. I'm going to bring it over here. I can pick up the last little bits of liquor out of this barrel. We're getting very little suction through. It's just too clogged up. So I'm going to kill it. It's like trying to suck what you call it, through ice cream through a straw. This is not happening. This is what it's trying to go through right here. That is all char from the bottom of the barrel. Bottom of the barrel. It's not happening. You can't pull whiskey through there. All right. You go in there. You go here. See, a blockage like that usually only happens at the end of a barrel. It's not usually something that we encounter in the beginning stages. Alright, blockage is clear. We're good to go. I'm going to drain this out. But I'm going to drain it into one of my 5-gallon buckets here. So that I can save the whiskey, or at least some of the whiskey, and filter it back into the next batches. See, this is how much charcoal and dust was in the bottom of that barrel. very little, if any, remain. So what I'm going to end up doing when I'm dumping my bourbon barrels, I'm going to have 5 barrels. Every barrel's going to be full of that mess. My bourbon barrels are 5 gallons, 7 barrels, 5 gallons each. They're all going to be full of it. I'll probably dump everything into a rig that filters everything out from junk. The main stuff from the beginning. That way we don't have to deal with it this badly. Again, I'm sorry if y'all can't hear me very well because I'm not pointing to the microphone. It's right here. The microphone. Y'all can help me with that by throwing $5 into the microphone. Let me know. But that is not a high priority purchase right now. For me personally. Got good flow. Okay. Bourbon Ron's in the house. Yes, very much like a golf ball going through a garden hose, Ron. And Ron gets on the list again. We go add your name to the Wheel of Fortune and Doom one more time, Bourbon Ron. Hey, Ron, you'll be happy to know the Whiskey Wars reached out to me. I'm trying to think of a. They reached out to me. I got an email from them, and I'm going to be emailing them back. I haven't had a chance to do it yet. They're on my list of things to do. I'm going to email them back. We'll see if we can think of some kind of collaborative thing to do together. I like his channel. I like his stuff. He says that you turned him on to me. Your video of the top 5 or top 10, I don't remember what it was, the smaller whiskey tube channels to visit. That was a cool little video, and I went and checked all those guys out. So this is the filter pads after the first run. The first run from the last batch of whiskey coming out of the barrel. So this is everything that we filtered out in that first run through. This is what was left in the barrel. This is what was filtered out of the barrel. This next pad is going to be dark, but not that dark. But I'll save those so that we'll have a comparison for the next batch. But anyway, like I was saying, I'll probably rig up something. I'll probably rig up something for the bourbon. The run for bourbon. Hang on 1 second, I gotta rig this up. The funnel fell off the side of the barrel and all the wood chunks fell out. So you'll see a significant difference on these filter pads between the first filtration and the second filtration. That'll be kind of cool to see. Whiskey Wars reached out to see if we can come up with some collaborative thing. What I'm thinking would be really cool. He's in Kentucky. Me throwing out an idea here. He's in Kentucky. You, Ron, you're here in Texas. You're in the Houston area, the Houston metro area. We're relaunching our Boomtown Bourbon from small batch boutique whiskey to generally available bourbon throughout Texas, a regional bourbon, local bourbon, regional bourbon. We're going to work on getting it out of Houston and into the state, and then out of the state and into the region. But we're relaunching our Boomtown Bourbon to be a local craft brand, not just a distillery craft brand, but a local craft brand and a state craft brand. And that'll be probably in January. What I was thinking about doing is inviting whiskey tubers who can make it down here, blocking out a bunch of rooms for a discount at the hotel over here, inviting a bunch of whiskey tubers, getting everybody here in the facility, doing a tasting of all of our whiskeys together, introducing the Boomtown Bourbon to everybody doing their live stream all at once from here, live, like simulcast on all their channels, all at the same time. Huge YouTube production. I think that'd be fucking awesome. I don't know how if it's possible to pull that off by being plugged into our landlines here. I'm sure it's not impossible, but you know, if everybody shares the same internet feed, we have a very beefy internet connection, so I don't see it being completely impossible. But I think that'd be dope as hell. Going live from the Old Humble Distilling Company on like 5 channels at once, with a live simulcast tasting of all of our whiskeys that we have available. I think that'd be kind of cool. Talk to your people. Well, see, that's the thing. I know there's some crossover between the different audiences, but there's a lot of, you know, the Venn diagrams, they're not perfect circles, but they don't look like, they don't look like breasts. I'm trying to think of a different thing that's like 2 circles side by side. They don't look like eyeglasses. You know what I mean? They don't look like the Venn diagrams overlap, but they're not completely separate, but they're not circles either. So, like doing that over all the channels all at once it'd be a chance for all of the whiskey tubers to overlap, you know, interbreed their audiences and kind of organically grow each other off of each other. And for one group to find out about the other group and kind of, you know, share a whiskey tuba palooza. That's what I could call it, a whiskey tuba palooza. So like you could share all the audiences together, but you know, grow your own and share yours with everyone else and share everyone else's with yours. I think that'd be kind of cool. And yeah, it might melt YouTube, but you know, tough shit. And I'd be more worried about y'all melting my internet connection here as we're tucked away in the woods. We're getting a nice flow, nice steady flow coming through. That's good. So whatever blockage was in there is cleared out now. Draining nicely. Alright, and this is what I do. I wait. There's a whole lot of my job that is waiting. Waiting on the fermentation, waiting on the boil, waiting on the distillation, waiting on the filters, waiting on the whiskey to age, waiting on the barrels. Waiting on something to go wrong. So that I can fix it. We're at the end of So all I've got in here is my paddle. My stirring paddle that's holding the tube down underneath the level of the water. I could tighten up these shots. Now, seeing the whole shot is good. That wide angle, that's a good shot. Let's see, what can we see in the screen? Okay, so over here you see my sills. Here's my grain mill. The grain mill is on wheels. I bring the grain mill, when I grind the grains, I bring the grain mill to the door so that any powderized grains will fluff outside, not in here. Otherwise it gets really dusty in here, and I don't want it to be dusty in here any more than it already is. So this actually runs really well. It's very effective and very efficient. And every once in a while I need to change out the teeth, but I haven't had to do that in a while. Because I haven't used it in a while. But manufactured by the Spec company. It's a nice, and I do have another batch of teeth for grinding in this thing. So basically it slides in between these teeth, and the gears grind them this way, and then it spits the stuff out the bottom. This will hold 150 pounds of grains up there, like 2 bags, 3 bags of grains, which is about how much I use. I use about 200 pounds of corn, 75 pounds of malted barley, and 25 pounds of, no, the other way around, 75 pounds, or 175 pounds of corn, no, 200 pounds of corn, 75 pounds of rye, and about 25 pounds of malted barley. Close to that, at least. So that makes it for very efficient loading. Otherwise I'd have to load all that stuff by hand, one scoop at a time. And that's a pain in the ass. One scoop at a time. Almost done. Reminder, tonight at about 10:45 p.m. We spin the wheel of doom and glory. That's not a hard and fast time. We might do it a little bit early. We might do it a little bit later. Don't come in at 10:45. I mean, we'll probably do it no sooner than 10:30. They had about 15 minutes of introduction. And maybe 20 minutes or so, we're talking about the Whiskey Rebellion. And then we'll spin the wheel. And then we leave it open for open forum discussion after that. I go through chat and talk about whatever comes up. Or what had come up prior to. The discussion's going to be interesting tonight. Because we're talking about the Whiskey Rebellion, the first ever rebellion against the federal government in the United States. It's a part of our history that just kind of gets hand-waved and glossed over, like this thing happened, and then you move along. Doesn't really talk about the implications of authority, use of authority, command, control, use of the army, use of militias, calling up of the militia, kind of an example of what an actual militia is. Because the United States didn't have a standing army. In fact, the United States didn't have a standing army until, like a permanent standing army, until after World War II, really. We had an army, but it was a small army. And we usually mobilize forces for specific purposes. I mean, we had a standing army in the 1800s. We had a small standing army. I mean, that's not to say we didn't have an army. We had an army. We had a professional army. We've always had an army. But having a large, full-time, permanently authorized standing army, that's something new. That is legitimately a relatively modern condition. Alright, so there's no gunk at the top of the pipe this time. There's no clog. The pump is hot, but that's to be expected. You can see the difference between the first run, this is the second run here, and the first run. See the difference? I mean, this is alarming. This is how much was still left in there versus the final run. And I didn't rinse out the first barrel when I put it in there. I just kind of dumped out the first barrel. So there's a little bit of particulate was still left in here. So we're going to get something through on the last one, but the last run through, it's going to be mostly clean. It'll be mostly clean. And I'm going to bring it into this last barrel to work. To work on the bottles tomorrow. So this is what they start off as. It's brown, but only because it's stained by the whiskey that it's been soaking in. Alright. Now for the final run through. I have to give you another hand? Come on, man. Oh. It's not in the water. Get in the soup. Alright. It's drawing its own suction now. I don't even have to give it an assist like I did the last couple of times. Coming up through. All on its own. Nice flow. Nice steady flow. Perfect. Excelente. You have no idea what you're doing. None of us have any idea what we're doing, Ron. We fake it. I mean, I have a fairly good idea what I'm doing now, but you know, stuff comes up and you're just like, fuck it. Make it work. Make do with what you got. I've got so I've built my work tables here that I've got. What I'm going to do, I've got a couple of pallets over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of those pallets. I'm going to set up a 90-degree pallet top bar, or pallet with a bar top on it. I've got a couple of designs I'm looking at to make it happen. So the table is about 36 inches high here, and this is kind of low for a bar. I'd like the bar workspace to be a little bit higher. And also smaller. This is like really wide. This is an 8-foot by 4-foot table. It doesn't need to be that big. But I've never built a bar before. It'll be fun. Fun project to try and do over the summer. When we're on our summer hiatus, get a chance to build my bar, build my command center for the live streams, for the concerts. Which is different from my normal operation space over here. Like the operation space that I'm normally working with. Like the whole distillery is my studio. Steve! Turn back. Roughly this year, how much whiskey am I making? That's a good question. My sales goal this year, let me make sure you're on the list for tonight. One more time. Like, I restrict what I make to match what I sell. And what I make includes what I'm bottling, what I'm buying and bottling, as well as what it is that I'm actually making, distilling from scratch. I'm going to close this door a little. Should help a little bit. Did that help? I think it will. Let me look on the computer real quick. Yeah, that's better. Not great, but it's better. Okay, so my sales goal for this year is about 500 cases. As of right now, we're right about half that. So this year, between the straight whiskey, rye, and special reserve, I'll have about but this year between the straight whiskey, rye, Special Reserve, I should have close to 600 cases bottled, boxed, and ready to go, as well as another 90 or so cases of bourbon in barrels ready to go out at the beginning of next year. Maybe 120 cases of bourbon ready to go out at the beginning of next year. Depending, there's a chance June, July, August, September, October, November. There's a chance the Boomtown bourbon will be ready. The first 30 or so cases will be ready in December. 15 or so cases will be ready in December. So that may go into the budget for this year. but I'm not holding my breath on that. It depends on when we get the steam generator installed. It should be the first couple of weeks of June. I'm not sure. So, to answer your question, we're shooting for about 500 cases this year. And you can, 500 times 12 times 750 milliliters, divided by 1,000 converted to gallons. Roughly about 100 gallons of 90 proof whiskey, give or take. And then we'll roughly double that with the bourbon. And the bourbon and specialty whiskeys, the specialty alcohol next year. The rice whiskey, the bourbon, the brandy, the 72-hour blackout whiskey, the 72-hour blackout bourbon. I don't know if we'll get the space whiskey done next year or if it's going to be a 2024 project. But that's not going to add significantly to the budget. Most of the budget's going to be off the bourbon. We're a very small operation working towards becoming a much larger operation. This is my first year of. I think I count this as my first year of full operation without having interruptions from pandemics and all that. But we're still not fully operational until we get the steam generator installed and these guys up and running. So, it is a lot to make. It's a lot to do. It's a lot to make, but it's the key choke point. Damn, you're loud. The key choke point isn't in here. The key choke point is out there in the stores and getting it off the shelf and into stores or into homes. That's the real choke point. Having enough outlets where the whiskey can get on shelves and being able to enough of a flow out of the distillery and into stores. That's currently the biggest choke point. But I mean, it's a good problem to have. Once we cross that 500 case threshold, that'll be enough reliable income to hire a marketing professional or a distilling assistant, to hire a second pair of hands to help me get to the things that I can't get to on a regular basis. And it would probably be I don't know. It'd probably be somebody to run the tasting room full time to do distillery operations inside. So I'd probably call that person the assistant distiller. They manage the tasting room and help me out on the distilling side. That's probably the first person I'll hire. And then the second person I'll hire would be a ambassador coordinator. Who would handle all that stuff so that I could focus on all this stuff and the office stuff. The actual business stuff. Generator. Steam generator. Steam generator. So, if you look back here in the back corner, right back there, there's that little gray box underneath my gantry crane. That gray box. Yeah, that gray box. In the back of it, the tube. That's my steam generator. That steam generator is the engine which fires, which sends heat to my pots, and the heat, well, that's how I boil stuff. The difference is the alternative to the steam generator is the internal element, which goes inside here. And I mean, it's literally the same thing as what you have in your water heater. The problem with this thing is there's grains all in the water, all in the wash, and those grains get on here and they cake it, and then they cook, and they turn into cornbread and rye bread and all this other. So it's really hard to distill on grains with an internal element, an internal heating element. So I need some kind of machine to separate the grains from the water, from the wash, or a lot of patience where I can take a filter bag and hold it up and just drain it into a bucket and get the liquid out of it. But that could take 3 days. I ain't got that kind of time. So what we do is we use our steam jacketed pot, and they have a jacket around them. You fill it with steam, you pump it full of steam, and it heats up around the outside so that there's never any direct heat on the grains, so the grains don't cook themselves. The water boils, the grains don't cook. And then we have an agitator inside the pot. That's what these things are. This here is the agitator. It continuously has things moving around so it doesn't cake on the side. And that's how our steam jackets work on the pot still. The steam is a nice, gentle method for heating everything consistently from the outside in, as opposed to a single point of heat inside of it radiating out, or underneath it radiating up. We don't get scorching on our grains. We don't get grains caking in the bottom. We don't get them burning up or solidifying. So everything stays nice and liquid on the inside, so that ultimately the alcohol can escape out the bottom. How did I learn this? That's a good question. Trial and error mostly. I mean, I don't know if this is the best equipment to have, but it's the best equipment I have. There's other machines out there that are a lot more expensive. Like these two together were like $30,000, I think. I could get a $150,000 distillation unit that does 300 gallons at a time, is a nice thick beefy column that pumps out 2 gallons an hour. I ain't got $150,000 to throw around. So, part of it is learning how to use the equipment I have, learning how to do the process using the equipment that I've got. Using a different still would take a different set of skills, and those skills would come about through the process of using that still. Experience is a great educator. Activity is a great educator. Doing a thing, you can read about basketball, but you're never going to be a good basketball player unless you go shoot basketball. Experience is a great educator. And that's kind of how I learned it. I mean, I've used these things in the history of our company, we've moved locations like 3 times, Conroe, Humble to here, 3 times. Our old shop wasn't set up to use these. Our first shop was. I used them twice at the first shop. Then we moved into the second shop and we moved them here. I've been waiting to get these things plugged in. So it's literally been 5 years since I fired them up. So I know how to do it because I did it. I've done it. But I'm going to have to relearn the process with a new steam generator. I'm going to have to relearn how to use a steam generator. An entirely new process. Our old one was a gas generator. This one's an electric generator, so it's going to be an entirely different thing that I have to learn how to do. So when people like me say that we know what we're doing, we know it in theory most of the time. Some of the time we know it in practice. The first few times I turn this thing on is going to be a learning experience. You're going to want to catch those live streams. Because I could burn the whole fucking place down. It'd be hilarious. But you learn how to do it by doing it. There's some book knowledge that goes into it. I've read a whole lot. But at some point, you got to build a still and do it. You just got to rip the Band-Aid off and go for it. As far as investing from a business, we started investing in this as a business scale operation. I did a side track of building my own still out of a 5-gallon pot. 5-gallon pot with a salad bowl, caulk ring, drilled a hole, put a pipe, had a snake coming down from the pipe, put it through a cooler of ice water, and came out the spout on the cooler as my drip to collect the alcohol. That was my first still. Literally, it was a chili cooker, turkey fryer with a large salad bowl, caulk ring, drilled a hole, hammered out a base, a flange around a copper tube, slid it in there, soldered it up, elbow fitting down, added a snake, put it through I don't know if it made the move, but if it did, it's in my garage back home. I have to double check and see if I still own that thing, because I might have thrown it out. It didn't work very well. I cooked on top of a turkey fryer base, and I couldn't really control the heat. On a turkey fryer, it's either on or off. There's not a medium heat setting on a turkey fryer. There's high and very high and off. That's it. So I couldn't really control the heat. I couldn't, and it was so small, only being 5 gallons or whatever it was. It was so small. It was, as soon as you heated it up, the whole damn thing boiled. There was no way to subtly adjust the heat and the temperature or anything like that. So it wasn't very effective and it wasn't very efficient. Basically I just boiled water coming out of the thing. I didn't make very good fuel. But the concept taught me the process. And but that was kind of alongside the distillery as it was getting up and running up in Conroe. And I bought my partners out in Conroe because I had a different vision for the distillery, and I was going to establish my own distillery down here in Humble. They could keep it running up in Conroe. I was going to establish one down here, separate, with a different marketing, different strategy, different branding, and everything. And they said, just buy it out and move the distillery down there. I'm like, all right, that's fine. So I bought them out and moved the distillery down here, and had to change my entire business plan on that. So I pitched the new business plan to the investors that I had lined up, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. So operated it part-time from 2015 the end of 2015 forward to 2019, operating at part-time, just trying to establish a market, trying to establish a presence to the point where I could make the leap and lever it up. You know, go from 50 cases a year to 500 cases a year. That was a big stretch from 2015 to 2019 of expanding the distillery. And in 2019 we were right at 100 and, I don't know, 50 or so, 100, between 100 and 150, I can't remember the exact number. But then the pandemic hit, and we went from, instead of growing 50%, we shrunk 20% that year as far as sales goes, because we weren't fully in our facility yet. We weren't able to get into stores. We weren't able to do anything. But I busted my ass to try and keep us at par, keep us level, and not backslide. We just backslid a little bitty bit, and that's how it goes. But then the next year, we doubled from the pandemic year. From 2020 to 2021, we doubled. This year, 2022, we were poised to double again. So we hit our mark last year of like 300 or so. I wanted 420, I think I was shooting for. I was shooting for 500. I think we had 420. I'd have to double check what we did last year. I can't remember. But this year, 500 is the target. And we should hit 500. In fact, I think last year we fell short because the distributor didn't pick up the order of rye before the end of the year like they said they would. They didn't pick up the order of rye. They didn't pick it up until January or February. So that kind of fucked us for last year's volumes. But we should be well on our way of solving that problem this year. But yeah, I mean, we started this as an investment on a business level, an investment level. We didn't start this as a hobby. You don't buy 225 gallon stills as a hobby. You don't. We had at our old facility, we had a fucking boiler that was like this gas-fired boiler that was 7 feet tall, weighed 9 tons or some ridiculous amount like that. It was insane. We were larger than we needed to be. We overbuilt the initial operation, and if they'd have stuck with it rather than pawn it off on me, I don't know if it would still be in business. But, it was beefy. We just had a disagreement on our goals and operational ideals at that old shop. I wish we could have worked it out, but it's all right. We're here in Humble now, and new place, new vision, new operation. The sky's the limit at this point. We've got a good vision. We've got a good product. We've got a good plan, and we can execute the plan, stick the plan, and keep it going. Next year and the year after is going to be 2 big years, because the bourbon's going to hit the market, and then we're just gonna crack the doors with the bourbon and kick them down the year after that. It's going to be fucking amazing. It's going to be amazing. Bourbon's going to hit the market. We're going to send it off to the awards competitions. Bring in a armful of hardware, and then, man, that media blitz is going to be just dumb. It's going to be big. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, man, the next 12 months is going to be fun. I am excited. I'm looking forward to it. All right. I want to show you these last filter beds. Show you how clean this whiskey gets through 3 filtration runs. There it is. That's the final run. There's just a few little bits left. That's mostly residue from inside the machine. That's the starting point. That's the final point. That's the huge difference. Huge difference. Absolutely huge. And next week, I will post up my beginning of the month video. See, nice and clean. This is what we want our whiskey pads to look like. So you go in there, you stay there for a while. Tomorrow I will bottle these pretty boys up. Should be, what did I say? Should be about 7 cases of whiskey. Should be about 7 cases of whiskey that I need to run through tomorrow. Should take me about 4 hours to go from bottle and barrel to boxes of special reserve. 7 cases, roughly 4 hours, roughly. And then I'll be done for the day. Well, I'll be done for operating in here for the day. Then I'll head back home and get ready for our trivia night. Our trivia night next week. I don't remember what tomorrow night's trivia night is, but what are we gonna do with trivia? Well, it's gonna be a fun time. I mean, we're running to the end of our pub trivia contract, our introductory period for pub trivia. So I need to decide if we're going to continue doing trivia the way we've been doing it. If y'all like it, let me know. If y'all don't like it, we'll figure out another way to do it. Another operation, another style of trivia. Possibly. I kind of like the way it's set up, especially when I have a co-anchor, co-host, pilot flying with me. Yeah, they can track the answers, and I can ask the questions. They can track the answers. It works really well that way. But it's also nice to have more than 5 players. That way, it gets a little competitive. I'm thirsty. I need more water. It is hot in here. Well, it's not hot. I'm just sweating. Dehydrated. And then tomorrow night, or Thursday, Friday night, we have Sedona Night playing live here at the shop. Sedona Night, I don't know, American folk. Almost country and western, but a little rockabilly flavor to it. And we've signed up with a booking agent called I can't remember, an online booking agent that connects venues with bands, and that'll give us access to a lot more performers and a lot more different styles of performers who come to Houston from Austin, Dallas, and all the other places. People who are passing through town on tours that we can pick up on a logistics contract. They're already playing here, and we're just like, hey, come on over for a couple $100 extra bucks. Come on over and play one more night. The last time we were contacted by a group, they wanted us to pay for 2 hotel rooms, and I was like, Jesus, you have no fucking idea who you're talking to. I can't pay for 2 fucking hotel rooms. It's crazy. And the hotel rooms that I can pay for, you don't want to stay in those hotels. The carpet crunches. And moves. Yuck. But yeah, that's it. Tonight we spin the wheel of doom and glory. We talk about the Whiskey Rebellion. We spin the wheel of doom and glory. We're gonna have some fun. It's gonna be a good night. I'm looking forward to it. I didn't try the whiskey. I didn't taste that. Uh-oh. Tasting cup. Like my favorite part of the job. mean, I looked at the color before. It's got a good color. It's exactly the color that I'm looking for. Actually, it kind of tastes like it has a little bit higher than usual corn content. It'll do. It's divine. It is divine. It is a brutal business when it comes to booking acts, and it's part of the challenge that I have when I'm booking live acts is my primary job is not booking talent. So I don't have a whole lot of patience for the fucking back and forth, nitpicky bullshit that these people know your value, right? Don't sell yourself short. If you're a talented person, know your value. Set your price, stick to it. Straight up. But you best pull through on that value proposition. If you say you're a $300 talent, let's say you're a $300 act that's going to come play for no less than $300. You can't get out of bed for less than that. Fine, I'll pay you that. You got to bring something that's worth $300. I'm not paying you $300 to play. I'm paying you $300 to entertain an audience. And if you can't bring an audience, $500, $1,000, $1,500, whatever. If you can't bring an audience commensurate with what you're charging, then I'm sorry, you're not worth it. You're not worth it. If you can't bring half the audience, if you can't bring any fucking audience, if you come to perform and nobody follows you, you're not worth shit. You're not worth shit. And there's at least 3 of the 6 acts that have played since the beginning of April that will never be returning here again because they are not worth what they think they're worth. They cannot promote themselves. They cannot bring an audience. They have no following. They are trash. They are not a paid performance group or individual. They've all done good shows. They've all done good shows. I've thoroughly enjoyed their shows, except for a couple that were mediocre. I've thoroughly enjoyed the shows, but and maybe I'm wrong. I'm paying a performer to come and perform, and I'm paying somebody to be a draw. And if I say, if I put out the ad, put out a flyer or whatever, and I say, these guys are coming, as seen on, or where at, and as seen in these locations, and blah, 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 blah. And nobody gives a shit. They're not coming to see you. They're coming to see me. So that's the challenge I have with booking acts, booking performers. I'm a big fan of paying someone their worth, paying someone their value. The problem is you don't know their value and you don't know their worth until after they do the show or after the show starts. And it turns out they're not really worth anything. But a professional booker knows how to match performance to pay, saying, look, we'll guarantee you whatever X amount, and then pay you based on the bar or whatever, based on the crowd. And there's some shows that I didn't really care if anybody was here because I wanted to do the YouTube thing. I wanted to put them on the YouTube. Like friends of mine, like Ryan and Jay, I'll fucking pay those guys to come out here and play to the trees. I don't care. They're great performers. They do great YouTube. They're good. They're good. They have a value beyond the bar. But man, if you say you're going to bring 50 people out here, and I plan for 50 people, and you bring 6, fuck you. You cannot come back. Ever. That's cool. But this platform helps smooth all that stuff out. I don't have to do the back and forth nitpicky chicken shit crap. It's just, here's what I'm offering, plus a percentage of the bar above a certain amount in order to encourage you to bring more human beings out with us, activate your fan base if you have a fan base to activate. I don't want to pay people strictly based on the bar. I would rather pay them a minimum amount, because you got to pay gas to get out here, you know. You got to make a fucking living. I get it. I'm not a monster. You got to make a living. You're a performer. You got to make a living. Get out of here. Here's some money for your Friday. But man, if you kill it, if you bring people, that's better. I'll pay you more. We're selling booze. I'll sell you 10% of what we make. That's great. Here's the receipts. So anyway, I'm meandering off. Turnout is hit and miss. I think I'm getting better at promoting the shows, connecting the shows to audiences. Some of the performers are better at connecting shows to audiences. Jay is good. Ryan's good. There were 2 others that were good. But most of them aren't. And we've had between 0 and 30 people. And you know, even the way it's set up out here, 30 people does not feel like a crowd. There's people in here in the distillery. There's people out there listening to the music. There's people out there, you know, kids running around doing what kids do in the woods. Because it's a very family-friendly venue, very kid-friendly, open space. I will yell at the kids if they're running around back here, because this is where sharp corners and alcohol is. I don't want them behind my desks. I don't want them behind the tables. I don't want them on this side of the wall. Out there's fine, and the tasting room area is great. Get the hell out of the operating floor. So yeah, we have between, you know, 4 or 5 and 30 or so people out here, depending on the nights. The last night with Jay was huge. We had like 25, 30 people out here. Whole group of friends of Lisa's, the swing dance crew, friends of Jay's, friends of mine. We just had a good solid group over the course of the night. I think at any one point we had no less than 15. Over the course of the night it went up to 30 and down to 15 or so. By the end of the night, as you're approaching 10 o'clock, people start to filter out, which is fine. We usually get here 7:15 or so. The music starts at 7. They start filtering around 7:15. We usually have pretty decent crowds. Usually. And I've only been doing this since April 1st. Since the beginning of April, I've been doing the Friday Night Live. So we've got all of April, all of May, and we're going to have all of June. The real proof will be this month when the temperatures start to go up, if we can still bring people out in the late evening and early nightfall, twilight times, when it's still a little bit warm and the temperature hasn't dropped yet. But we're also out in the woods, so it's nice and comfy, cozy out here. It's not too hot for the most part out here in the woods. So there you go. Where are we at? Time-wise. 2.5 hours. All right. Let me switch over to my other camera. Pick up my desk mic and bring you over here to me. Grab my shirt. Oop. What time is it, too? Time is about 1. It's time for me to go eat lunch. Is what time it is. I need to go eat lunch. Switch over here to cheers, everybody. It is time for me to go eat lunch, so I'm going to wrap this shit up. Go eat lunch and get some desk work done before we get the show started this evening. Show tonight starts at 10 p.m. We will do an introduction for 5 minutes or so. We'll talk about the Whiskey Rebellion of 1784 to 1790. I think it was 1784 to 1791. Double check that timeline. The Whiskey Rebellion, 1791 to 1794, not 84 to 91. That would have been, 1789 is when the Constitution was ratified. So we didn't even have a United States to rebel against until 1789. Couldn't have been 1784, you stupid idiot whiskey maker. Don't you know anything? Shut up. Don't be mean to me. Anyway, so we'll talk about the Whiskey Rebellion, a very significant point in our young nation's history that just kind of gets hand waved over and glossed over. Oh yeah, there was a Whiskey Rebellion. And then in other news, like, come on, man, that was a thing. It was a big deal. It was an important thing. And then we spin the wheel of doom and glory. The wheel of doom and glory will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We had 78 names, I think. Moose Gal's corner, we had 78 names, and now we've added Moose Gal one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I think we have 85 names on the wheel tonight. We'll spin that wheel tonight at about 8:45 or so. And then we'll open the floor up to our chat forum and discuss the evening's event. All is quite well, Moose Gal. I just finished filtering our special reserve, our last bits of special reserve. So I'll have the special reserve finished, boxed up, ready to ship next week. No, Friday, this week. We're going to finish up our gin run. We have 27 more cases of gin that we're going to box up on Friday. And then next week, I'm going to do another batch of rye. 17 cases of rye. So we're going to have a nice bottling schedule for the next few days. A nice bottling and labeling schedule for the next few days. And then, but the YouTube schedule for the next few days is also pretty solid. Tonight's whiskey happy hour, where philosophy and science meets whiskey. We'll talk about the Whiskey Rebellion and its significance. We'll talk about tomorrow we do trivia. Friday we do music. Sedona Knight, a good performer. I've thoroughly enjoyed watching his videos and listening to his music and preparing for his show. And then we have a video that's going to be posted Monday or Tuesday, which is our 10th episode of the quest for 100,000 views. Spoiler alert, May was a fantastic goddamn month. The best month I've had ever. More views, more hours, more subscribers. This was a great month. We're only 28 subscribers away from our 600 subscriber special. If everything goes well, we should push 600 by the end of June, which means our 600 subscriber special could be our Independence Day special. That'd be awesome. And you know what we're going to do on Independence Day? We're gonna blow some shit up. That's right. Damn. I'm gonna do on Independence Day what I wanted to do for Cinco de Mayo, but I couldn't get any fireworks for it. But there is a fireworks stand not a half mile away from where I'm at right now. And I'm going to go to that fireworks stand and I'm going to buy 600 uh, sky screaming rockets, and we're going to launch them off right there in the intersection outside the distillery, far enough away from the alcohol so they won't be dangerous. We are going to light those bad boys off. Proper safety materials on hand, of course. We always say here at the Old Humble Distilling Company, safety third. Or after you've tried everything else, safety first. Safety first after you've exhausted all other possibilities. Um, in fact, I should probably put that on like a plaque. Put a big sign up on the wall. Safety first with a little asterisk up there at the side. It says down below at the asterisk, after all other options have been exhausted. That's what we say here at the Old Humble Distilling Company. But for real, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys tonight. I'm going to add these names to the list now before I forget. I'm going to go double check and make sure that the names have been added from the last post on our community tab. And we're going to be ready for the show tonight. So I don't have a glass to toast with. I do have an empty. It's bad luck to toast with an empty glass. Hey, just take my word for it. Be awesome to each other. Think with your whole brain, love with your whole heart, and we will see you. Where's my damn cursor? We will see you tonight. There it is. We will see you tonight. Bye, everybody. Nope, that's the wrong one. It's not JBZ. Hang on a second. Let's see if we can change this. I'm gonna change this picture real quick. We don't want JBZ was last week, you dumb dummy. Where's Sedona Night? There he is. That one. There it is. Right now live. June 3rd, 2022. Sedona Night.